We'll start with the prayers. Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Makshabhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi Stuštuvagam Sastanobhihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuho Swasti na Indro Vriddashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastakshorarishthanemihi Swasti no Brihaspati'r Dadato Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Today we begin a new text which is called as Anubhuti Prakasha, and this text is written by Swami Vidyaranya. He comes in the Shankaracharya tradition. I have completed last week Mundaka Upanishad, the essence of Mundaka Upanishad. And I had asked the group whether they would like to have a little bit more discussion on Mundak before we proceed to the next Upanishad. Then everybody felt that they would like to have a little bit more knowledge. So I decided to take this particular text, which focuses on Mundak Upanishad in chapter 6 of this text. To those who are new to Swami Vidyaranya, just a very brief introduction about him. He lived somewhere around 13th century, 14th century, almost 700 years ago. And he was a very great scholar of Advaita Vedanta. In his normal day-to-day activities, he was a counselor to the king of Vijayanagara Empire in South India. But in spite of being a very busy person, he was also involved in studying Vedanta. He was expert in several sciences: astronomy, astrology, music, mantra shastra, purva mimamsa shastra, and so on. It shows his scholarly aptitude. He was well versed with almost all the Upanishads, and he has written a very well-known text called as Panchadasi, Jivan Mukti Viveka. He has written a Vartika, that means a commentary on Shankaracharya's Bhashyam on Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. And similarly, some writing on Aparoksha Anubhuti. His text of Panchadasi is extremely famous and a very well-known text for people who are very keen to know the intricacies of Vedanta. There are two ways in which we can study the Upanishads. One is, there is one reality called as Brahman, and that is how the whole world has come from that Brahman. So this is one methodology of learning, and this is how normally we learn it in the Upanishads. But there are some texts which explain how I can realize that Brahman in myself. There is Brahman, is Paroksha Jnanam. That Brahman, that pure reality is there in my own body-mind complex and in the entire universe. How do I realize this? It's a very, very gigantic task. it requires a lot of preparation, and it takes quite some time, and there is a process involved which is called as Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana. This particular text and Panchadasi deal with the second aspect of our spiritual study. It is not knowing Brahman, but it is trying to realize that Brahman in myself. In my own nature, how can I be that pure reality is the subject matter. So with this short introduction, if you can go to Google, and if you want more details about Swami Vidyaranya, you can always go through that. And if you study Anubhuti Prakasha, there is a textbook also available. If some of you are interested, I can send you the details of that. But what we will be doing here in these maybe 10 or 12 sessions, around 12 sessions, I think, I'm going to do, see this, when I heard this text, I prepared some notes running into about 500 pages. For 100 verses. What I will do is I'll just run through these verses. I won't go through the 500 slides, but I will tell you the gist of, as we proceed, I will try to tell you the gist of these 100 verses, some of them a little bit in detail, some of them casual. The summary of this 100 verses. What does this 100 verses, how does it fit into Mundaka Upanishad, which consists of 3 chapters? It's explained in this first slide. As I said, 100 verses are divided into 3 chapters of Mundaka Upanishad. 50 verses for the first chapter, 24 verses for the second chapter, 26 verses of the third chapter. And we have just studied Mundaka Upanishad, and we have gone through the essence. Each of these chapters have got 2 sections. So the first section is dealt in 30 verses, 1 to 30. Second section, 20 verses, 31 to 50, of Anubhuti Prakasha. Then similarly, second chapter, how the 24 verses are split into 2 parts is explained, and in chapter 3 again, how these 26 verses are split into 2 sections. 10 topics are being discussed. This is the beauty of Vidyaranya. See, he has also studied Mundaka Upanishad. How did he picturize the whole Upanishad in his own mind? That is the beauty, and how he expresses it in 10 different topics. Topic number 1. What is lower knowledge? Apara Prakriti. Topic number 2. What is Para Prakriti? Topic number 3. What is that Aksharam Brahma, which is the cause of this universe? This is a central portion of this entire 100 verses. So I'll be going a little bit more detail when I take these verses. Topic 4, the fruit of lower knowledge. What do I get from this Apara Prakriti knowledge? Who is the perceptor? What are his qualifications? Who is a seeker? What should be his qualification to get this knowledge? Topic 5. How was this world created? Topic 6. How can I meditate so that I can realize that pure consciousness in myself? That is meditation on Omkara. Topic 7. And what is the fruit of this meditation? Topic 8. What are the means of knowledge? Topic 9. How can I dissociate from this body identification? The last topic. See how beautifully he has spread out his 100 verses. These are all, and see, this is a genius of an acharya, a teacher, how he studies an Upanishad, how he presents it. And the same way he has presented in many, many other Upanishads also. The word aparoksha anubhuti. What does anubhuti mean? Anubhuti means chaitanyam, consciousness, Brahman. That is one meaning of it. Aparoksha means the self. It is not paroksha. It is not distant. So this knowledge, this consciousness, how can I realize it in myself, is the meaning of aparoksha anubhuti. This consciousness illumines, reveals this entire universe. And the knowledge of this light or this consciousness is called as Brahma Vidya. And this knowledge is from Veda. Veda is a text which deals with two sections. One is Veda Purva and Veda Anta. Veda Purva deals with all the rituals. How can I do the rituals so that I can get some benefits while I'm living in this world? How can I get a child? How can I get more money? How can I get prosperity in life? These are all the rituals part. Veda Anta is the knowledge of the self. That is what we are interested in. In the Upanishad, there are several stories, there are several meditational techniques mentioned. Swami Vidyaranya skips some of those and takes the juice out of them and presents it here. For example, when he teaches Chandogya Upanishad, he skips the first 5 chapters, which deals with meditations, upasana. And he focuses on chapter 6, 7, 8, which is the main Vedantic knowledge. Bhuma Vidya, Prajapati Vidya, then Brahma Vidya. These are all the 3 chapters he dwells in. Similarly, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, he skips 2 chapters. He takes the first 4 chapters and then focuses on the Vedanta portion. Taittiriya Upanishad, chapter 1 and chapter 3 are skipped, big sections. He focuses on Brahman and the Valli, the 2nd chapter. I'm just telling you the way he presents Anubhuti Prakasha, so that for those who are interested, after doing these 100 verses, if you want to do the other Upanishads, you know what is this Anubhuti Prakasha. There are 20 chapters in this text. So Swami Vidyaranya follows Shankaracharya's commentary, his Bhashyam, in all these expositions. There's a lot of creativity in this revelations. That is why it becomes more interesting to study this text. This particular text is in the 6th chapter of Anubhuti Prakasha, consisting of 20 chapters. 100 verses are there in this current chapter. The total number of verses in Anubhuti Prakasha, which deals with 12 Upanishads, is 2,800 verses. It will take you a very long time, maybe 15 years, to study the whole text if you really are bent on it. But I'm just telling you how in such a great depth people have written about Upanishads in the literature which we find around. A bulk of these 2,800 verses goes in one Upanishad, which is 1,000 verses. 50% of the whole text of Anubhuti is only one Upanishad, which is Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So if you want to study Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which is the biggest Upanishad, in a more detail, you have to come to Anubhuti Prakasha. See, I'm telling you different levels of our spiritual study. Initially, we just learn the basic essence of it. Then you want to study a little bit deeper. Then you take a text like Anubhuti Prakasha. Then, or you take, now this Anubhuti Prakasha is different than Panchadasi. I am doing Panchadasi on Wednesday classes. I have finished chapter 3 last week. I'm going to start chapter 4 on next Wednesday. If some of you are interested, you can join Wednesday sessions of the same author. And he is going to discuss in chapter 4 of Panchadasi what is Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti. If you're interested in this topic, some of you have come new, some of you may not have known about the Wednesday classes. I'm just mentioning that. So as I said, it takes 15 years sometimes to study this whole text. And the texts which are taken are all from the Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharvana Veda. The order in which I will be presenting this, whenever I finish one Upanishad, I will try to see whether I can do it, but or maybe towards the end of the Upanishads, I will take up Anubhuti Prakasha. But right now I'm ready with Mundaka Upanishad, so I will be taking this. The next Upanishad I'll be doing with Anubhuti Prakasha is Keno Upanishad. I'll be doing that whenever that we take up Keno Upanishad, and then when we finish that, I will be taking the, if you all like to do this Anubhuti as a text along with our study of essence of Upanishads. So this is the order in which it will come. Mundaka Upanishad, we have seen already 3 chapters, 6 sections, 64 mantras. 65 mantras. For these 65 mantras, Swami Vidyaranya has written 100 verses. We'll go now to the first section, which is from verse number 1 to 8. Verse number 1, Swami Vidyaranya says that he entered in this in these 8 verses, he only introduces what is the lower knowledge, which is Apara Prakriti. From verse number 9 onwards, which is an important section, deals with Para Prakriti. So the first verse says, it introduces the Guru, whose name is Angiras. And as you know, any Upanishad is always a dialogue between a Guru and a Sishya. In this case, the name of the Sishya is Shaunaka. So in the first verse, he says the Guru's name is Angiras, the Sishya's name is Shaunaka, and this Upanishad is from Atharvana Veda. Straight away, he goes into the details of what this Upanishad is. Second verse. Angiras has come in the Guru Sishya Parampara. That means he also had a teacher. Now, in the second verse, it says that this sage, Angiras, has come from the traditional line of the teachers who have come from the Brahmaji, the first teacher. That is one of the essence of this verse. What are the names of the other disciples of Brahmaji? The disciples' names are Atharva, Angiras, Bharatvaja, Angir and Angiras. There are two different names. The last one is Shaunaka, who is a disciple now here in this particular Upanishad. So, like I said earlier, Vidyaranya is a master trimmer. He will keep on trimming and come to the essence quickly. In this verse, what does he say? He says that Shaunaka approached the teacher with Shraddha, Bhakti. Shraddha means faith. Faith in whom? The Guru first, because he is going to the Guru. Because he believes the Guru is going to teach him Brahma Vidya. Brahma Vidya means the science of the self. The self, which is the cause of this whole creation. The Guru is going to teach him that subject matter. Very, very different than what you can get from other teachers. And then this teaching is a parampara upadesha. It is coming from tradition in the form of a dialogue. Now, who is a teacher? Shrotriya Panchanga Nishtha. Shrotriya means he is a well-versed who has gone through the scriptures. So the student takes to his house Samitpanihi. Samitpanihi means it is the twigs. I mean, this is a tradition. The Sishya has no attachment. He has great vairagyam. So if the teacher says this is Brahman, that knowledge he catches like a fire in his intellect. Immediately he'll grasp it. So that is the type of a student Shaunaka was. This approach of how do you approach the teacher, a Brahma Vidya teacher, is said in the Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 34th verse. Tat vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadeshanti te jnanam jnaninastatvadarshinaha. So Sishya does prostration to the Guru. He does service to the Guru. And then the teacher will teach him. This is the process. According to tradition, Brahma Vidya should never be given till a person is interested in it. The person must come and ask, "Oh Guru, I want this knowledge about my real nature." It's not, Brahma Vidya is not to be marketed. It has to be kept a secret, because otherwise what they say is, even if the Guru teaches, that will remain, it will not be digested by the student. If the student and the Sishya are in vibe with each other, the Sishya then will be allowed to ask a question to the teacher. See, that is why this dialogue and this proximity of the teacher-student is extremely important when you come to Brahma Vidya. This is how Bhagavad Gita teaches, all the Upanishad give us the importance of this aspect. The third verse. What is the question asked by Shaunaka? The question Shaunaka is asking, very brilliant question. There is one ultimate reality which is appearing as the universe. This is what is described in the Veda, in the Upanishads. There is one reality which is appearing as the universe. Ekam sat vibraha buddhaha vadanti. How do I know this? Even Purusha Suktam talks about the same reality. Purusha Suktam is a very famous suktam chanted at many houses. Normally, when people learn chanting, this is one of the things they learn first. And in the very first verse, it says that Purusha, who is with thousands of legs and hands, which means what? He is all pervading. He is pervading the whole universe and is 6 inches beyond the universe. This is a figurative statement. What it means is that pure self is appearing as the manifested universe, and it is also appearing as the unmanifested universe. This is Brahma Vidya. And that ultimate reality can be called as Brahma, can be called as Shivaha, can be called as Hari, can be called as Devi, can be called as Krishna, anything. That is only a name. The deities are manifestations of that one reality. So that one reality manifests as the many, which we have seen in Bhagavad Gita also in the 10th chapter and the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. You have to relate when we discuss this question of Shaunaka. You have to go back to the Bhagavad Gita study and bring your mind to the 10th chapter, Vibhuti Yoga, 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Vishwarupa Darshanam. How Lord Krishna says the entire universe is my Vibhuti. One reality appearing as the whole cosmos. Then Arjuna wanted to see that reality and say, come on, Lord Krishna, please show me that reality in yourself, because you are that creator. Then in the 11th chapter, the whole universe was shown, including what is going to happen in the battle in the future, was shown to Arjuna, because that reality is one. The plurality which we see is only 3 things: name, form, function. This is what is taught in Chandogya Upanishad. Gold and ornament. Ornament is nothing but ring, chain, bangle are only names. The essence is gold. The ring can decorate your finger. The chain can decorate your neck. A bangle can decorate your hand. They are all different functions, but names are given for vyavahar. You are given a name, I am given a name for transactions. But the essence behind you and the essence behind me is one self. The self in you, the self in me, the self in your family members is one. One truth. Ekasmin vidate. When one ultimate reality is known, the entire universe will be known. How? If I know gold, the nature of gold, it is a shining substance, its value is so and so, then I can know all the instruments which are born from that, produced from that. So similarly, by knowing one Advaita Tattvam, which is the topic in all the Upanishads, and also in Purusha Suktam, and also in Rudram, which we chant regularly at home. Rudram and Purusha Suktam are chanted regularly in religious families. And the essence of Purusha Suktam and Rudram is one reality is there. Pray to that reality, you will get what you want. Study a little bit more, understand that reality is you in you and me, you will get rid of samsara, cycle of birth and death. So Shaunaka's question is, what is the truth which expresses as the world? And how does he ask the teacher to teach him? Oh teacher, iti nishchitaya. Nishchitaya means without any doubt, please teach me this truth. Eka karanam. What is this sara? Aneka karyam. See, now I'm introducing karanam and karya. Very important point in Vedanta. Understand this in depth while you're doing this Upanishad. Understand this, because this is a key to knowing that reality in yourself, in your own mind. I have to say, I am that pure Karanam Brahma, which appears as this body and the world. Body, mind, world are all karyam, products. What is the adhishtanam for this of products? The adhishtanam, the substratum is the karanam. Like you have the gold and the ring, bangle, and so on. Similarly, I must note what is the superficial dvaitam, the duality which I experience in my waking state, and what is the essential nature which I experience when I am sleeping. When I'm sleeping, what happens? I go back to my own nature of Advaitam, non-duality. The essence behind the whole creation and this body-mind complex is the reality into which I go I go into that reality every day. This is how the Upanishads explain to me as what is that reality. What the Mandukya Upanishad says is, if you are obsessed with the duality, you will always be in samsara. You are very unfortunate. But if you want to know what the reality is, start focusing on the non-difference, pure consciousness, the self of all. What is that self? We will see. But this is the process in which we do the study. Indirectly, what is the question? The question is, what is the material cause of the universe? So the first half of this text is devoted to Karya Karana Prakriya, the method of Karanam and Karya. Like gold, clay, wood are Karanam. If I understand the Karanam, I will understand all the products. If I understand the ultimate reality, which is a changeless reality, then I will understand the whole universe, because that reality is called as Aksharam. In this Mundaka Upanishad, the most important word is Aksharam. Imperishable. You can never talk about perishability of this consciousness. Consciousness is imperishable. Consciousness is my nature. Ananda or bliss is my nature. Pure existence is my nature. What do I see that myself today as? I see myself as the individual. Individual body, individual mind, individual attributes. Whatever the mind is throwing up as thoughts, I see those thoughts in me, and through the light of this consciousness, I take the thoughts and the body as me today. I have to change that attitude and say, I am the light in which I'm seeing this body. I'm the light in which all my thoughts are seen. So, what is the process? The process is, first of all, I have to know that the Karanam, the cause of this world, is only one, and that is called as reality. It's also called as Brahman. That is the direct answer to the question of Shaunaka. So the first stage of teaching is know the Karanam and Karyam. Karanam is Aksharam, Brahma. Karyam is the entire Jagat. In the second stage of the study, the process is, the first stage is called as Adhyaropa. Adhyaropa means it is a stage in which I bring in the Dvaitam aspect. Then Apavada means, the Adhyaropa means also superimposition. In the second stage, I say that this superimposition requires a Adhishthanam, which is Brahman. The superimposition, the world is a superimposition on Brahman. Brahman is the Karanam, world is the Karya. In the second stage, what I'm saying is, this Karanam and Karyam are not two different things. Consciousness and the world are not two. It is one appearing as the whole cosmos. This is called as Apavada Prakriya. We will go into the depth of this. This is the methodology of teaching. I'm just telling you, this is how the whole Brahma Vidya is taught in all the Upanishads. It's either we use Adhyaropa and Apavada method, or we use the method of Drigdrishya or Neti Neti. These are all different techniques. Fourth verse. Now the teacher, the question is described in the third verse. Fourth verse describes the answer by the teacher. What does the teacher say? The teacher says there are two kinds of knowledge. One is called as the lower knowledge, other is called as the higher knowledge. What you have asked, Shaunaka, is an answer belonging to the higher knowledge. You are asking a question about the Karanam of the universe. What is that? By knowing one thing, I can know the whole universe. If I know the whole universe, I will know myself also. That is the idea behind asking Shaunaka's question. So, the lower knowledge is called as Aparavidya, the higher knowledge is called as Paravidya. And what are these Paravidya? Paravidya is explained in several verses going forward. Apara Vidya is an inferior knowledge. Even in the Vedic aspect, dealing with rituals and upasanas is considered as a lower knowledge. The higher knowledge deals with moksha. Lower knowledge, this is the interpretation of Swami Vidyaranya in this Anubhuti Prakasha. See, this is the way he opens up the topic. He opens up the topic and says, let's look at the Veda itself. The lower knowledge gives me chitta shuddhi. It gives me purity of mind. You do all the yajnas, you do all the rituals mentioned. Karma and upasana will give me results, but they are perishable results. What is meditation? Meditation is focusing the mind, which is mind is today scattered. But I need to focus, and the way to focus that is through upasana. What do I do with this prepared mind? Then I employ that prepared mind to paravidya. In paravidya, what happens? Paravidya, what happens is you do shravanam, mananam, nididhyasana, which is what we are studying now. Our study is higher knowledge, paravidya. So he breaks the sciences into paravidya, aparavidya. Aparavidya will give me preparation of the mind. Paravidya will give me the knowledge of the reality which will remove my samsara, and I will get moksha. Science always deals with aparavidya. And aparavidya, the other term which is used is karyam. And paravidya, the technical term is karanam. So this is how the fourth verse starts the teaching. Again, he tells us about this paravidya in the fifth verse. In the Veda, in all the four Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharvana Veda, and also in the Veda Angas, what are the Veda Angas? What are the auxiliary, ancillary subjects in the Veda? Siksha. Then Vyakaranam, Kalpaha, Chandaha, Iruktam, Jyotisham. What is Kalpaha? The science behind doing the rituals. Vyakaranam, everybody knows. It's Vedic grammar. It is different than the classical grammar. Niruktam. Niruktam means etymology behind the Vedic words. How are words formed? Chandaha, the different meters. Jyotisham, Vedic astrology. Whenever I want to do a ritual, always I consult a Purohit and ask him, what is the time I should start this ritual? I cannot do it in the middle of the day. He gives you a time early in the morning, 7 to 7:30, you do this. That is what is called as Jyotisha. The right day. Which day is good? Is a Friday the best day? Is Thursday the bad day? So he will tell you. So these are all the different sciences. These sciences is dealing with aparavidya. Entire science which we learn in physics, chemistry, biochemistry, zoology, psychology, everything, engineering, everything is dealing with the world of five sense organs and five sense objects. Paravidya. What is paravidya? Beyond the five sense organs, beyond the mind, is this reality. That is what is Shaunaka's question. Just to revise, One material cause expresses as the entire universe, exactly like how one gold is expressing as the chain, ring, bangle, or studs. Material cause is called as karanam, as in the case of furniture, it is the wood. In the case of pots, it is the clay. In the case of the universe, it is Brahman. And that Brahman is called as Jagat Karanam. Another name for this Brahman is Sat Chit Ananda, or it is called as Vastu. Paravidya is superior compared to Aparavidya. Brahman is a subject matter in all the Vedas, especially in the Upanishads, which is in the end portion of the Veda. One Brahman, one reality is expressing as both these knowledges. Because ultimately reality is one. Whether it is knowledge of the objective world, you take any objective world, knowledge of the objective world, which is Aparavidya. So that pure reality is expressing as the Paravidya as well as Aparavidya. The Aparavidya is a pramanam. It is not a pramanam. Pramanam means what? Instrument which reveals something is called as pramanam. Eye is a pramanam for forms and colors. Ear is a pramanam for the sound, for the taste, the tongue, and so on. So similarly, for Paravidya, what is the pramanam? It is Veda Anta portion. So the authentic pramanam for the revelation of Brahma Vidya is the Veda Anta portion. 6th verse. Who is the one who is learning this Veda? Who is the perceptor? What is the nature of that perceptor? What are the two types of knowledge? One is called as Samanya Jnanam, another is called as the Vishesha Jnanam. This is now going into what type of knowledge we should focus on. Even though both are coming from the Veda, the Samanya Brahma Jnanam is generally received by a student. It is called as Apara Vidya. Samanya Jnanam. What is Samanya Jnanam? The general chanting. The chanting of mantras. That is called as Apara Vidya. It gives what? It gives Dharma, Artha, Kama. But it does not give Moksha. What is the Vishesha Brahmajanam? Vishesha Brahmajanam is got only when you have Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti. This is speciality of Vidyaranya. Again and again, I'm bringing out his way of looking at Paravidya and Aparavidya. This type of classifications you don't get in the other text. When we do it in the normal Upanishad study, we don't get this clarity. Paravidya comes only when you do Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Sangraha. It is a textbook which is dealing with Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti. 250 verses are there. For what? 4 verses of Tattvabodha is expanded as 250 verses in Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Sangraha. So the importance of preparation which is required, which is the Vishesha Jnanam, Vishesha Brahma Jnanam, is given here as one of the aspects before we get into the ultimate Brahma Jnana. So whether you do the Vedika, there is no contradiction between Veda Purva and Veda Anta, because Veda Purva gives us the preparation to have the knowledge of Vedanta. Especially now here, that is the essence of this 6th verse. One gets the Aparoksha Vishesha Brahma Jnanam after getting the mind ready. In chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita, the 10th verse, it says, Asaktirana Vishwangaha Putradara Grihadisho Nityam Cha Samachittatvam Ishtanishtopapatisho. These are the qualities which are required to get Vairagyam. That Vairagyam will result in Brahmavidya. Paravidya is mentioned separately so that we can focus on that after getting the knowledge from the Aparavidya. Knowledge of the Aparavidya will give me the purity of mind. That is the essence of the first 8 verses of this first topic. There are 2 more verses, 7 and 8. The 7th verse tells us why the higher knowledge is kept separately and why the lower knowledge is kept separately. Both the Samanya and Vishesha Jnanam are important, but Veda wants us to focus on Aparavidya to get the mind ready. And here, Shaunaka's question is not about what is the means of how to purify my mind. He's not asking that question. The question is related to the higher knowledge, which is the Vishesha knowledge. Here I have given a little bit more details about Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. These are all different classifications according to the type of mind. This is just a digression from the general flow, but this is only to give you some idea. It is the quality of the mind which decides the type of classification as a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya. But what the central essence of this is, I need to bring my mind, make it more sattvic, how do I make my mind sattvic? By karma yoga and upasana yoga. Make my mind sattvic by aparavidya and get ready for paravidya, which is the Vishesha Vidya. Yeah. What is the content of Aparavedas? I have already said this before. Rituals are meant for preparation or Aparavidya. That is a portion of the Aparavidya. And what are the types of rituals? The types of rituals are Nishiddha Karma, I should avoid. Prashchitta Karma. Prashchitta Karma means neutralization of karmas. Here, this 8th verse discusses the different types of rituals. which we are taking up to cleanse our heart. See, you can see the word cleansing of the heart means the heart here stands for the intellect. Now, only when this mind is cleared, the basic thing what we have to understand is now my mind is scattered in different, whenever I get up in the morning, I think of 100 things. And how to withdraw that mind from the world and let it become introvert, so that when the Guru teaches me, you are that pure consciousness, my intellect can pick it up and it can grasp the truth. It is the karma yoga which makes the paravidya possible. So without the aparavidya, we cannot get paravidya. That is the essence of the first 8 verses. Spiritual seekers, they start with karma, upasana, to get sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. Once the mind is refined, then he becomes a adhikari, fit. Once chitta shuddhi is received through aparavidya, that is a means for the postgraduate course, which is paravidya. Why is it called paravidya? Because it is superior knowledge. Why is it superior knowledge? Because that is the only knowledge which will give me moksha. Moksha means what? Nivritti, dukkha nivritti, sukha prapti. Permanent happiness I want to have. I don't want the fleeting happiness which I call it as priya, moda, pramoda. These are all thoughts which are reflecting the happiness temporarily. I get a laddu, I am very happy. Once the laddu is gone, I'm looking for the next thing which will make me happy. So these are all thoughts floating in the mind. I am realizing these thoughts whenever there is a congenial atmosphere, right objects are in front, right persons are in front. They are the manifestations of my own ananda. Paravidya is this subject matter of all the 12 Upanishads. That is being explained by Swami Vidyaranya. So let's look at the last 8 verses. That is the first topic of this Anubhuti Prakasha, dealing with Mundaka Upanishad. What did we learn today? Paravidya, aparavidya. What is the Shaunaka's question? Teach me, O Guru, one thing by which I can get the knowledge of the entire cosmos. It is a brilliant question. You can reflect on the question first, and it will give you a tremendous amount of depth of your own mind. How deep you can go into your own mind. These are the type of questions. When we reflect on these, it shows that I am now growing in the spiritual path. So the 2 Vidyas have been described in Anubhuti Prakasha. The Apara Vidya is said to be the preparation of getting the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. I do karma yoga, I do upasana to get my mind ready. For what? For the Paravidya. What is Paravidya? It will teach me there is one Karanam for the entire Jagat. That Karanam is called as Brahman. What is that Brahman? Is the subject matter of the entire Upanishad. With that, we will now enter into the second topic. This goes on from verse 9 to 18. We will finish maybe 3 or 4 verses, and then we'll see how the higher knowledge is explained by Swami Vidyaranya. This is a very unique portion of Anubhuti Prakasha. The first thing which he teaches, right in the first verse of the Paravidya, is he says higher knowledge is immutable. It is the knowledge of something in the world which does not perish. See how he describes very beautifully. You see, this is straight. This is Vidyaranya's way of expressing Paravidya. Paravidya is Aksharam. It is the knowledge of Brahman. What is this knowledge of Brahman which I'm learning? In this world, I see everything is perishing. Everything is perishing in the world. First of all, accept the fact that I am experiencing a perishing world. First of all, get convinced on that. Aksharam is a word which is used either for a syllable or for Brahman, which is imperishable, or for Maya Shakti, which is their which is one of the aspects of creation. As Aksharam, it is used in this particular verse, 16th verse of 15th chapter. Dvamimau purushau loke sharakshakshara evacha shara sarvani bhutani kotosthokshara uchyate. Lord Krishna says, there are 2 Purushas in the world, perishable and imperishable. Here he is talking about the Maya Shakti. Maya Shakti has got manifest and unmanifest portions. All the beings are perishable. What is imperishable is the Kutastha. This is Maya Shakti. It is the power behind the whole universe. This universe is seen by us in the waking state. In the sleep state, this universe is not experienced. How? Why? It is because there is a power which gives us the waking state. It gives us the dream state. It gives us the sleep state. The 3 states belong to the mind. This is how Brahma Vidya is taught. There is a consciousness principle which is always there, which is that imperishable nature of the reality. That is also expressed in Mundaka Upanishad in the 2nd verse, which we will be doing later. Divyayo Murte Purushaha Sabaya Abhyantaro. So this verse, it tells us that Brahman is self-resplendent, self-illuminating, self-effulgent. It is formless. Because anything with form is perishable. It is all-pervading. It is all-pervading means throughout the cosmos it will be there. If I know myself as the pure consciousness, that is something which has not changed. That is the Paravidya. Okay, so in this verse, by the higher knowledge which is immutable, by this Paravidya, by this higher knowledge, the knowledge of the imperishable Brahman is known. And when it is known, the entire world becomes known because it is the self of every object. See, very, very beautiful. This is a verse worth contemplating. There is one reality, which is called as consciousness, existence. That reality, the knowledge of that reality is the Paravidya. And how does it express? It expresses as the self of every inert object and the self of living beings, sentient beings, both. That is what is called as Brahman. When we do aparoksha anubhuti, the reality becomes very clear in our classes itself. There is one pure consciousness, which is what I am when I'm sleeping. I am that reality. That pure consciousness is the self. It is the inner content. It is the Atma of all the objects, because all the objects, they go into unmanifest condition and they come out to manifest condition. Manifest and unmanifest condition belongs to Prakriti, which is perishing. The whole Jagrat Avastha perishes in the Sushupti Avastha. The Sushupti Avastha perishes in the Jagrat Avastha at the highest level of perishability. The whole state itself is perishing. But what is beyond this perishable thing? There is a reality which is Brahman. Know that reality as your own nature. Get attached to that imperishable Brahman and be free. Mundaka Upanishad says you are free. Even now you are free. Know that pure self. This aspect has to be very clearly understood. It is the Sarvatma, self of all. Knowing the self of all as this reality, I realize I am that imperishable reality. What is the body and mind and this thing? They are all stepping stones. They are all manifesting that reality. They are all the means for me to attain that pure reality, the knowledge of that reality. So as that reality, if I look at myself, how will I say, what will I say about myself? I myself am appearing as the whole cosmos. I myself am appearing as the body, mind. Everything is the self alone. Like how the waker will say, the whole dream is me, myself. Everything in the dream was me, myself. Similarly, imperishable Brahman, if you say, Aham Brahma Asmi, I am that pure self, you will say, this whole world is manifestation, unmanifestation. It is perishing. It will perish definitely. Every day in my sleep, the world perishes. But only difference is, I come back into this world tomorrow morning again. That is because of the law of karma of the body. The body has taken birth to finish certain portions of joy and sorrow, which it has to experience because of the law of karma, which is the law of the cosmos. So, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, 3rd chapter, talks about Akshara Brahman. For those of you who have if you want to learn more about this word Aksharam, there are a couple of students who write to me, with whom I am in touch on the emails on a regular basis. For those type of people, you can go deeper into this topic. In Brahma Sutra, Devatadi Adhikaranam is there, which talks about Aksharam Brahma. It talks about that relatively, that eternal reality. Eighth section of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Aksharam Brahma is to be the one which has to be known. Once Aksharam Brahma is known, then the entire Jagat, made up of time, space, and the five elements, and the elementals, which is the objects of the sense organs, everything is known. Because the world is a karyam, it is a product. Again and again, if you want to see, these are all the technical aspects of knowing that pure state of mind. There is a methodology employed. That is why it is Vedanta. There is a technique. Vedanta is a technique of revealing my higher nature. That pure Brahman alone is appearing as all the universe, as Akasha, Agni. In Taittiriya Upanishad, this very clearly says the whole world is rising from Atma and resolving into Atma. In Mundaka Upanishad itself, there is a Mahavakyam. We have studied this Mahavakyam before in the previous session, where it says that the Brahman is on the left, it's on the right. It's just a figurative way of saying that the Brahman is the Karanam for the Jagat. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Brahmarpanam Brahma Harihi, Brahmatnau Brahmana Hutam, Brahmaivatena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. This verse is also talking of Paravidya. Everything is Brahman. When you do yajna, the butter which you pour in the yajna is Brahman. The one who is pouring is Brahman. The fire in the ritual is Brahman. Ultimately, what they are trying, Bhagavad Gita is saying, the whole cosmos is Brahman. What exists is Brahman alone. The world which we see through our sense organs is only Nama Rupa. Karya Prapancha is name and form. It is not the reality, but what is a reality is Sarvatmakatvat Brahma. Very important word in Vedanta is Sarvatma. If you want to realize that Brahman, you should realize that Brahman as Sarvatma first. Sarvatma means what? It is the self of everything. How is it the self of everything? How do I understand this? Because everything in objects in the creation has got isness. Object is, the world is, car is. That isness in the objects is the self. I am, when I say I am, amness is the self. You are is the self. So the self is there in everything in creation. I, he, you, we all are having, I myself am walking. When you say this, the self is there. Even in our day-to-day language, we say ourself, but we don't realize when we use that language, we are talking of pure existence, consciousness, which is the self, which is the Karanam. That is the Brahma Vijna. The direct answer to Shaunaka's question. I have time just maybe for one or two verses. I'll just see the 10th verse. The knowledge of the ritual and actions will not yield fruit until the action is performed. See, Vidyaranya now differentiates what is Paravidya and Aparavidya. He goes more deeper. he says that when you do normal activity in the objective world, knowledge and action both are required. Knowledge how to drive a car and then actual driving, both are important to get the fruit. Knowledge of yoga and practice of yoga will give me the benefit. That is in the worldly circumstances, which is aparavidya. Knowledge alone will not produce a result. But in the case of paravidya, knowledge alone of this Brahman will give me the benefit. Knowledge will make me free from identification with the body as me. See, the whole study is a cognitive process. It is to do with collecting the knowledge of something which is there in the world, which I have ignored. The whole world ignores the self, which is the substratum of the whole cosmos. If I know the self to be my real nature, then I am free from samsara. That is what is the essence. On this ground, it is characterized as higher nature. Why is it paravidya is called as higher knowledge? Because it gives me moksha. However, maximum I study the world, the objective world, it will not give me the freedom. It will not give me the fulfillment in life. Ultimate happiness lies in this knowledge of paravidya. That is what is the essence of the 10th mantra. We have already gone through this, so I don't need to revise this. These are just notes for you to go through it. Now that I have gone through these verses, when you read the notes, it will be very easy for you to understand these notes. Why paravidya is superior? The first reason is it liberates a person. I am that gold. I am not the ornament. I am that Brahman. I am not the body and mind, which are means to know that Brahman. So, first reason it is called as superior, para, is because it is moksha shastra. Second reason is through this vidya, I can know everything else in the world. If I know I am the consciousness which is behind this body, I will know that the consciousness behind your body. I will know the consciousness behind every person who walks in front. The consciousness is this nature. If I know there is existence behind this body, I will know existence behind the table, chair, wall, TV, mobile. Existence, existence. It is, it is, it is. The existence and the consciousness do not change. The name and form, it changes. So if I know the paravidya, I know the whole world. Knowledge of karma and upasana, which I've already discussed before, is aparavidya. And the knowledge of the Brahman is paravidya. This already, and it comes through Shravana, Manana, Nidhyasana. Okay. How do I get the knowledge of the rope? What I do is, I bring a torchlight. The torchlight in this case is, here also, while experiencing the world, I am experiencing that Brahman, that pure consciousness, that self in all. Remember, today's talk, you should remember there is something called as Sarvatma. One thing you remember, That Sarvatma is the higher knowledge which I have to gain from this Mundak Upanishad. That Sarvatma is imperishable. The knowledge of the world is like the knowledge of the snake. I have to remove that snake from my mind and realize the world is like the snake, but what is behind the snake is the rope, which is Brahman, which is Paravidya. Okay? The 11th verse. What is the nature of this immutable, what is the nature of this immutable Brahman? Which can't be, that is the first thing he says in this 11th verse. What is the nature of this Aksharam Brahma? This is now we are getting into the details of that verse, which I will play a little later. The first thing he says is, this knowledge cannot be grasped or comprehended by the senses or the actions. I can do karma all the time, but will I get this knowledge of Brahman? No. You have to come to the Upanishads to study the nature of Brahman. Because this is something which exists even before creation. It is the basic stuff, Upadana Karanam, from which the whole creation has evolved. The creation is sustained by that pure consciousness, existence, reality, and the whole creation is resolved into that Brahman. In Kaivalya Upanishad, the Upanishad which we did before this, same idea is there. Mayeva Sakalam Jatam, that mantra, you have to understand. It is the basic stuff. Even before Big Bang, science cannot answer what was there before the Big Bang. But Veda says, before the Big Bang, there is Brahman. What is the nature of that pure consciousness? What is the nature of that Brahman? Pure consciousness, pure existence, without name and form, without any differentiations. From that pure consciousness, the world comes. It is the basic stuff. It is the Upadana Karanam. It is the Nimitta Karanam. Nimitta Karanam means intelligent cause. It is God, the knowledge. Taittiriya Upanishad beautifully describes this. The Bhashyam, Shankara Bhashyam of Taittiriya Upanishad beautifully describes what is this nature before the creation came. Of that reality. We are now starting from this mantra onwards, from 11th mantra to the 17th mantra, 7 verses. We are going to see what is the description of this higher reality. The most important mantra of this entire Upanishad is this mantra. First chapter, first section, 6th mantra. By heart it. If you can by heart it, it will be very useful to you for contemplation. Some people, most of us, we don't know how to do meditation. That is what I teach in the Wednesday sessions. How to meditate. For 10 minutes every Wednesday, I teach meditation. I take some of these mantras. I take Nirvana Shatkam. Now I am doing Dakshinamurti Stotra. So how to take these mantras and meditate, how to take small, and I show you the technique, then you can do it yourself. Many of the people have got benefited from these meditation sessions. They're very useful to make the mind calm. Suppose you come and tell me, I'm very agitated, I can never meditate. I will say, okay, don't worry, start. almost 80, 90 meditation techniques. I have put in those, videos are available in the website. So Mundaka Upanishad in this verse describes Brahman. It is the Vyakhyanam, Pada Vyakhyanam. Will tell us each word by word, we will understand what the words, how they describe something which can't be described. But there is a methodology involved in these scriptures. When you go through the study, you will find I can now understand Brahman. That is the fruit of study. You don't need a very superior intellect and all that. Simple. Just keep listening. Keep listening. Just come, listen, listen. And transformation will happen. So, words are all strewn all over the shlokas, but when they are arranged in a syntactical manner, what happens is you get the meaning. There are 5 factors which are involved in the meaning of each of these sentences, but those are all grammar aspects. I won't go into the grammar aspect. The first word which is used is adreshyam, agrahyam. Adreshyam means imperceptible. Now we are getting into the description of the reality. How my mind can go through these words and reveal that reality. This is the methodology which is followed by the scriptures. Upanishads use certain words to describe something which can't be described, but still, when we go through these indicative factors, we come to realize that reality. So, adreshyam is the first. It is imperceptible to the sense organs. And it is agrahyam. Brahman is agrahyam. It cannot be held by the hands. I cannot hold Brahman in my hand and say, I can be with it all the time. It is only by way of taking my mind in this direction. You're showing to a child, look at the tree, look at the tree. Beyond the tree is that moon. When you are showing by hand to look at the branch of the tree, your intention is not to look at the branch, but to show the moon. Similarly, here the Upanishad says it is imperceptible. Aksharam, agrahyam, adreshyam. So, jnana indriyas cannot be used to know Brahman. Because it doesn't have attributes which the jnana indriyas can perceive. What are the 5 attributes? Tathobodha, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. These are the sense objects. It can perceive the sense. It is perceived by the sense organs. But the reality is without any attributes. It's nirgunaha. I will continue with this slide number 52 next week. Slowly, I will be going into the depth of this verse. I will be going through all the slides now up to verse number 17, all the slides. Most probably, the whole of next week, next session, I'll be doing only this 11 to 17. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed the session today. It is a slightly unique way of presentation of Mundaka Upanishad. And let's see how we can progress. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. There are no questions on the chat box. So if you have a question, if you want to ask, Shanmugam is unmuting everybody. So you can raise your question, raise your hand and then ask. If there are many people, you can, I can just take one by one. Is there anybody who would like to ask a question? I know Shama is waiting.
That's why I'm not raising my hand.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, Arjun, anything from your side?
Namaste, sir. It's
Yeah,
Pinky.
namaste.
Namaste. Actually, I joined it for the first time.
Yes.
And so a bit confused in the terms, maybe
Okay. No
with
problem.
the practice and
slowly, you just slowly you try to keep attending. You will pick up everything.
Ji, sir.
Okay, no problem. Manikandan,
Thank you,
yes,
sir.
Thank you. Manikandan, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for sharing this knowledge. I have one question about, you mentioned that Aparavidya is essential for learning the Paravidya.
Right.
So, so other than the sadhana, the fourfold qualification,
yes.
What are the things we should do? One is you told the karma yoga, but
yes.
Is there any rituals which we need to do?
No. You see, the rituals which is normally prescribed for all the grahasthas, that you do.
Okay.
The ritual means, I mean to say, when you have a Diwali, you celebrate the Diwali. When you have a Ganapati Puja, you celebrate the Ganapati. Just go to a temple. It's not just having a religious lifestyle. That's all.
Okay.
And what you see, we are all grahasthas. We are trying to learn this reality, this higher vidya. By being as a grahastha, the only thing which we have to do is understand that there are 4 types of preparations which are required, like Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadha, Shatka, Sampatti, Mumukshutvam. These are just generally to be known. And what we do is keep up our study. See, spending that 1 hour every week, 2 hours every week for the study of this scriptures will really help us to at least appreciate some aspects which I never knew before. See, that is the beauty of this. There is something, some knowledge is there. And usually what happens is when you keep listening, automatically the knowledge comes in. It is by magic you will understand. Oh my God, now I have understood. Suddenly you will feel I am understanding everything which the Upanishad is teaching. Everything. Because I have learned how to apply that knowledge in myself. Simple technique I'll tell you, which I find it extremely useful. The whole world, my whole life is manifestation and manifestation. It manifests in the waking state. It goes into unmanifest in the sleep state. Earlier, I never knew this. I never knew that this is the way the whole world functions, you know. There is 2. This is what is called as nature, Prakriti. In this body, there is a power. Your body, my body, all the bodies are the same. They're all made up of Panchabhutas. The Panchabhutas have got a power, like you have a speaking power. You can speak, you can think. Similarly, the Panchabhutas in the whole cosmos, there is a power, which is, it goes to manifestation and manifestation, manifestation and manifestation. So if I first understand this first, let it sink into my mind. My waking state is a manifestation, it's a natural process which is happening. I have no control on this. Natural process. In this manifestation, I'm trying to learn about Brahma Vidya, about that reality which is appearing, disappearing, appearing, disappearing. So will I be bothered about death as such? No, because every day I'm experiencing the whole world is gone. It is gone for, it's completely, it's zero. And I know it because it's in my experience. Nobody has to prove to me. Then if this is my experience, there has to be something which is behind this reality, behind this prakriti, which is nature, which is this manifestation, unmanifestation. And what is that? That is what is called as Brahman. So what is this Brahma Vidya is not complicated. It is not so difficult. It is very easy, simple. We can just by going through this process of learning, what I realize is that self, that aksharam is I, the pure self. That does not have manifestation, unmanifestation. Body and mind is going through manifestation and manifestation. I am that pure self. I am the independent consciousness principle. I am immortal. Keep that as the base. And then you start seeing what the world is. Let the world, okay, in the world you are a mother, father, a boss. At that time you enjoy the world. You don't think about it. Let the world, let the transactions continue. But if you want to know the truth, which we are now learning in the scriptures, in the Mundaka Upanishad, in the Wednesday sessions, we do the Panchadasi. At that time, apply your mind. Now, next week, we'll be doing this verses from 11 to 17. Know how to apply that to that pure consciousness. In me, it is me only. The Upanishad is talking about me. It is not talking about anything else in creation. It is my own self. That self and this body, mind, I have to segregate. That is the only job of the intellect. Now, how it does, it will do it. It will do it. You will feel for sure through this study, I am blessed. I am blessed to have this reality. The knowledge, it'll come. Okay, next, anybody else? Yeah,
thank you,
yeah, thank you, Manikandan. Thank you. Shama, go ahead.
Shekharji, sorry, I remain your obstinate questioner.
Yeah.
So I want to apologize for that, but I can't help.
No apologies. I mean, through your questions, a lot of people learn. You see, there's a lot of knowledge which comes from Q&A. So don't feel apologetic, be bold and keep questions strong.
But I forgive myself only because I feel I enjoy it so much, so I'm entitled to make my questions.
Yeah.
So first thing is just to say that I am so glad you've done this, Aparaksha Anubhuti. This is really, I think it's already setting the scene, is already I can see where it is taking us, the very first session. So I just wanted to thank you that you're doing it for us. Thank you. Second, of course, is that you have kind of brought the whole thing so systematically together, because otherwise, it's such a kind of a big subject, big topic.
Yeah.
So that you wonder, God, but obviously you worked very hard for us. So thank you for that. Now, what you have said, I think it was your verse 7, where you mentioned that there is an emphasis that there is a aparavidya and paravidya. Yeah?
Yes.
So there is both of these are to be known. Is that
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Yeah?
You have to, the stepping stone is aparavidya and the final is paravidya.
Okay.
This is how Vidyaranya is putting it across. this is his style,
Yeah.
He says, don't discard the apara vidya and say it is useless. And
This is why
why should I do karma yoga? Why should I do upasana yoga? Those are all the stepping stones.
So that immediately is a very important thing to understand, for grahastas like
Correct,
myself
yes.
and most of us,
Yes.
is to how do we relate to life? Because the whole challenge is, how this complex of Jiva Jagat Ishvara,
Yeah.
how do I relate to the world? And therefore, this is very important that there is no this or that.
Yes.
Both is important. So that I'm very happy about. The other thing which you mention is that is it purely for the sake of understanding that these two must be kept separate, so we don't try and mix them? Something you said to keep it separate.
Yeah. Correct. You keep it separate because ultimately you have to drop the apara vidya and hold on to apara.
Correct. But obviously it is being done simultaneously.
Correct. Initially simultaneously, but ultimately in the apavada period, you have to drop it.
It automatically will probably
yes,
happen.
It will happen. It will happen.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for that. The interesting thing which you also said is about this apara vidya. You realize, like I realized so much, that I used to think I was a fairly reasonable, good person, but I realized that I have, despite all my so-called kind, compassionate nature, whatever, I have a lot of rajas, and that through this kind of studies which we are doing, I'm realizing that the whole purpose of the karma yoga and the upasana, which you mentioned, those two things, haven't you?
Yes,
In the apara vidya realm, that these two must be done in order to achieve a sattvika mind.
Correct.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to clarify, is that the purpose?
90% of the students of this session who have gone through these courses have expressed exactly what you have said.
To attain,
all of them were Rajasic before, now they can understand, they have become a little quieter in their mind. This is the benefit of this type of knowledge.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, because of your years of habituated thinking, very quickly it happens that if even now, that if the challenges come, like something what happened in the last 1 week, then it switches over, where on that particular day, suddenly I'm not doing my meditation, suddenly I'm not doing my, normal studies,
Take it
which
easy.
I do.
Don't push it. You see, that life is always full of challenges. A day will come and you can do meditation. A day will come you can't do meditation. Don't blame your mind for it, because that is what is the nature of creation.
Yeah, and at each step that I have actually gone through a difficulty, I know for a fact it is only helping me that I am actually being pushed, because obviously my consciousness is there in the spiritual mind. I have no doubt about it. I am spiritually centered, and that is a truth and a fact which I'm holding very strongly. That doesn't deviate. So I can,
very beautiful, very good. If you're able to do that and live your life, fantastic, excellent.
Because
you have really got the benefit of this whole study.
Yeah, because by the evening, I know exactly what I've done during the day. All my foolishness, all my whatever, and the funny part is I can even laugh about it, rather than earlier I used to blame myself, feel very horrible and all of that. And I said, okay, mind, you had your chance, you made me run around, okay, doesn't matter, I'll see you again,
Yes, but it's the same mind which is now you're using to learn the Brahma Vidya. So it's a friend of yours.
Yeah, so it is becoming okay.
Yes,
today you have one, but wait for tomorrow. Okay, so I love to have that dialogue with my own mind. Don't be too smart. So I'm working with that mind. And then the one last question, not question, but a clarification is So the idea of the Karma Yoga is obviously we are gaining, as in chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, the method is through the Karma Yoga means Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. So everything which we are doing, we are offering only to God, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, everything.
Correct.
Yeah. And whatever is happening is Ishvara Prasada Buddhi.
Correct.
Yeah.
Whatever result I get is Ishvara Prasad.
Okay. Now, so what is both these two a very high thought which I'm taking in every action which I am doing during the day, I'm trying to understand what it is actually doing at its own level as a consequence of holding this thought. Is it actually leading to an asakti buddhi? I don't know whether there is a term like that. Asakti buddhi.
Yeah, yeah. What you're saying is that a mind which doesn't hold on to these wrong things. That is asakti buddhi. Yeah.
Because I've switched on that button,
yes.
I'm on that mode.
That's correct.
That is
That's
Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, and what I'm going to. So in the morning when I get up, I'm already telling myself, to the extent my husband got this thing. I offered him a cup of tea. I said, "Remember, I'm not doing it for you."
No, don't say it too loudly because you'll be thrown out of the house.
So I was telling no, but he was very mighty amused about it.
Okay.
So it is leading to the asakti buddhi, which is, so Lord, you are the doer. I am not the doer. You are the one who are enjoyers, because otherwise that is a problem. No, the ego is all the time asserting itself.
That's correct.
But this principle is actually helping me to reach
it's a beautiful teaching of the Karma Yoga, the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It can be it's a very practical chapter. The essence of this is Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, Ishvara Prasada Buddhi. All actions, because ultimately you see the body. When you see the body, all the organs are functioning not out of my own will. You see, there is, this comes in Taittiriya Bhashyam. Mm-hmm. The body is a conglomerate. It consists. It's a assemblage of parts, but it is not for the sake of the organs. The body is created. It is created for somebody who is outside the body, which is the jiva. Mm-hmm. This is explained Shankara Bhashyam. Shankaracharya explains this very beautifully in Taittiriya Bhashyam. He says that, normally we think that the jiva is inside the body. But very clearly he says the body is given to the jiva by Ishvara. I am the user of the body. All the organs are created not by me. Out of my own will, I never created the Panchabhutas. Mm-hmm. So your Ishvara, how I can understand Ishvara Arpana Buddhi is in this thought process. That body is not functioning because of my own will. It is not. Therefore, all actions which it does, can I say it is my actions? No. Yeah. Very simple. Therefore, this leads to Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. There is some principle which is controlling the body. There is some principle which is giving the joy and sorrow to the mind in this body, which is attached to this body. Mm-hmm. See, only your mind is attached to your body. Mm. Jacqueline's mind is attached to her body. Mm. So it is such a beautiful creation. One mind, all the thoughts are attached to that actions of that body. Yeah. But who is the jiva then? The jiva is not the body which is attached. Today the jiva thinks the body is me, and then it has a big fat ego. Mm-hmm. I have a bank balance of 100 million pounds in my bank, therefore I am very rich. So that is a wrong notion. It is not, it is through some punyam you have got that money, and the body is enjoying that the comfort in life.
Yeah.
So
and even
if you have that buddhi is called as Ishvara.
yeah, and even a slight reflection, the simple thing of the bread that I eat every day, how does it happen? You know, it definitely doesn't happen because I can go and purchase it.
That's correct.
Just see so many different, it's just mind-boggling to think that, you know, I mean, like I was actually thinking yesterday of even the farmers, you know, I was telling my husband, I said, you know, it's such great ease and comfort. I just take it out and cook in 2 minutes and, you know, offer it to you. I said, just imagine how many farmers, how many people, they grew through all the rain and the sunshine and all of that. And I am saying, oh, I bought it and I'm cooking and I'm eating. Can you just imagine? I mean, it's just so simple. It's so simple to realize, and how at all, but it's really strange as to how our egos become so fat. And then as we progress, and a promise, this is the very last thing, as we are progressing, because we are simultaneously doing apara vidya and paravidya, am I to understand the more paravidya I am engaging, and that too really learning the hearing and shravanam mananam only of the text that has been handed down through the ages from the Vedas, the Acharyas, and then, for example, somebody like you are never ever drifting away from the original text, isn't it?
Yeah, you cannot.
Yeah.
There is nothing. It has to be the verses of the text. That's it.
I realize it. You don't actually give your own interpretations.
Zero. I don't bring. That's why I don't give too many personal examples and so on. You know, you see, that can make the whole class laugh and, you know, and all that. It can keep the class busy, but it will not give knowledge.
Yeah. So and so only that, because these days one of the disadvantage of the internet is you can get really, really lost. There are people who are doing PhDs on our own Vedas and stuff, but, and I've tried to hear a few of them, they're giving their own interpretation, because it's obviously very human and natural. Correct. That you think, oh, I understand it, and so this is how to interpret it. And all sorts of, even a single text like Bhagavad Gita is incredible, you know, into how many different variations people, and it's very disturbing actually to see that trend.
That is why I always try to go back now that I have started learning the Shankara Bhashyam. Even when I start looking at other commentaries of the Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads, I always like to study the Shankara Bhashyam, because Shankara Bhashyam is the original commentary of the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutra. Original.
Really? Yeah.
Very, very pure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very difficult to understand the Shankara Bhashyam, but if some chance, even if you can understand 10, 20, 30% of his commentary, it is so pure and so easy. Even with 10, 20%, you feel, oh, there's a joy of this knowledge.
Can you give a reference of you referred to Sarva Vedant Siddhant? You know, I'm only curious because you mentioned that this is where it describes the Sadhana Chatushtaya and 250 verses.
Yeah, you can Google and find out. This text is, you put this text, you'll get a lot of, you can get the PDF, you can get the talks on this. It's a Sarva Vedant. This is purely only dealing with the qualifications.
I do want to look at that. The aksharam which you have alluded to, you will be giving us more reference to aksharam?
No, the best reference for aksharam is Brihadaneka Upanishad, Akshara Brahmana.
In that one.
Brihadaneka Upanishad. I will be, when I do the Brihadaneka Upanishad, even in Panchadasi, this will come. In you know, you are attending the Panchadasi, this will come there also.
Okay.
So But it's a very important term, aksharam. Imperishable, knowing this imperishable, pure reality, I will become immortal. You
So
see,
that is the meditation, ultimate.
that is the meditation, yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, Shama, thank you. There's a remark, a question by Bharat from the UK. He's saying Apara Vidya is related to Paroksha and Pratyaksha, whereas Paravidya is related to Aparoksha Pramana. You are right, absolutely right. This is how you should understand also that all the sense organs are talking about Aparavidya.
Thank you, Shakaji.
You are 100% correct. It's perfect understanding. Yeah. And Aparoksha Pramana is the scriptures.
Yes.
So it is. I have to keep looking at the scriptures and reflect on the scriptures, and that is what is Paravidya. So the more I study Upanishads and its commentaries and focus on the Atma or the Brahman aspect, is the direct path for Paravidya.
Thank you, Shakaji. Can I just make a comment about today's lecture?
Yeah.
So first of all, I just wanted to explain to everyone that I wake up very early every morning, and I listen to. I'm sorry to say, I've been binge watching your videos. So, and I've been listening to all the past lectures, and it's very interesting to hear the Q&As. And I just want to say to Shaima, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
Shama, yeah.
Yeah, Shaima. You seem to ask all the questions that I would ask. So thank you very much for that. I'm sure you've heard of that before.
You are here in London. I feel very, very tempted to catch you.
Please do. It's no problem at all.
And it's only because I'm so many years senior that I feel it's, I don't know where it's kind of in the Indian cultural, this thing, all the senior people, they feel they have a right to, as my son says, Mom, why do you impose yourself on other people? I said, well, I mean, my age should give me some rights.
It's no problem, but I wanted to thank you for that. Shakaji, I just wanted to ask you something. So when I'm listening to all the lectures, I sometimes have certain thoughts or insights, and I had one the other day. I just wanted to ask you your opinion on it. So I just want to say that, like, for example, my nature is, we can have our nature, which is known. We know our nature. For example, I like to wake up in the morning and have a coffee. People point that out to me, that why do you need to have a coffee in the morning? But it's my nature and I like it. It's not important that I have one, but it's great to have one.
Yeah.
But then there's also ignorance, where, like, for example, I did lose my phone the other day, and I couldn't find it until I was told where it was, and it was relief to find that phone. So coming back to Aparoksha, and you mentioned that it's Shruti. So the Shruti is saying that I am not who I think I am, and the Shruti is trying to point out to what my true nature is, that I'm not what I experience as my body, mind, intellect. I am something other than that. And I was just thinking that the fact that I can reason that I am not my mind, it's because my nature is not the mind. If it was the mind, then I would know it, that I am definitely the mind. But the fact that I can even entertain the thought, the vichara, that of neti, I am not the mind, shows that my mind is not my nature. So all that's left is the ignorance. But then ignorance is such that it only works if you are kind of ignorant of the ignorance. As soon as ignorance is pointed out to you, then technically speaking, you can't call it ignorance anymore because you're aware of it. So all that's left all that's left is understanding. So in the understanding, all you can say is, even in that statement, I am not the mind, or I am not. All you can say is that I am that witness that's revealing that thought.
Yes, it's right. Your thinking is right. But there is one step beyond that.
Yes. So I wanted to ask you about this particular slide that you have on verse 9, and about akshara, and you've written bold, I manifest sound from unmanifest sound, which is already there in space. So that is, to me, the way I'm reading this is like, you have a piece of rock, and it can contain any statue you want within it. All you have to do is chip away at that rock until you reveal whatever you want to reveal. So
Wow.
like that, space contains all sounds, but you're neither the sound that's heard or the absence of the sound. You're that space underlying it.
Correct. Yeah. You see, in the previous session, somewhere I have mentioned, maybe in Panchadasi class, there are three bhavas: Jiva Bhava, Sakshi Bhava, Brahma Bhava.
I remember, yes.
You have gone up to the Sakshi aspect, but even Sakshi aspect, you have to drop it and say Aham Brahma Asmi.
Yes.
You have to jump into the last sector. Okay, your contemplations have led you extremely well up to the Sakshi Bhava. How do I jump from Sakshi to Brahman is only by the knowledge of the Upanishads, and that is deep study of Upanishads, deeper study. I see what we are doing is, I would say about 10% of the depth, but there is 90% still available for me to fathom in. It will come out. Eventually it will come out, but just wait. You are in the right direction, but there is more to go. That's all I can say.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, good. Very good, Bharat. Anybody else?
Shikhaji, what is that verse? Somebody has done this kind of analysis where in one of the shlokas where it is that 25% the teacher teaches you, so another 25% you try and do, then there is manana, and the rest is time itself.
Yeah, there is a time you have to leave it, and there is that is Ishvara Anugraha.
There is some formula kind of a thing. Yeah,
it will come. It will come. A part comes by the first Shravanam. The second part is when you have discussions with your fellow colleagues.
Yeah, correct.
And then the third part is you have to wait for the Ishvara Anugraha, and the last and the last one is Atma Anugraha. Your own Atma has to bless you.
Thank you.
See, Ishvara Anugraha is also there. Okay, Ishvara also does it, the blessing from the Ishvara, but your own Atma has to bless you. That is your ultimate, I am completely fulfilled in life is Atma Anugraha. I am fulfilled. There is nobody who can take this fulfillment out of my own self, because I have realized I am that what the Upanishads wants to reveal. See, there is a secret in the Upanishads, like you have, there is a secret. And when you know the secret, you really feel so joyful. That is the ultimate Atma. That is the bliss of that pure self. It is realizable, and it comes the moment that the Mahavakya clicks for you personally. That bliss of the self shines for you. But the Mahavakya is the essence, and we are all working towards that that last bit, you know, we are all walking the path of spirituality. The Guru only says, keep walking, and just wait. It will happen.
I'm just laughing only because my only Atma Anugraha which I can notice is I can forgive myself a bit more
That is
easily.
good.
Bit,
That is 50% of the battle which is won, you know.
a bit more easily, a bit more easily. I don't
Yeah.
say it happens just like that, but yeah,
Yeah.
very quickly it happens.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy, very happy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And let's continue next week. It's a very interesting. I enjoyed this 11 verses today, and let's see what brings the next 11 verses next week. I hope I can do about 8 or 10 verses every time, but some of the verses will take time. It doesn't matter, but we'll see how it goes.
Perfect.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Hari
Thank
Om.
you. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hari Om, Jagat ji.
Hari Om. Baba, any questions?
No, I just like listening only.
Okay, good. Very good.
Very good.
Very good.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandra. Thank you.
Thank you so much.